beloved chosen one. Everything around you grows still because heaven is listening. The noise fades, the rush slows, and your spirit begins to tremble with holy recognition. This is not a coincidence. Heaven has interrupted your day to whisper, "It's time." What you prayed for, what you longed for, what you almost stopped believing in has finally begun to unfold. You have waited in silence, endured in faith, and walked through seasons where hope seemed thin. You've watched others receive their miracles and wondered if your turn would ever come. But what you didn't see was that heaven was working behind the veil, weaving divine details together in perfect sequence. You were never forgotten, you were being prepared. The delay was not a punishment, it was protection. God was aligning people, opportunities, and timing so your blessing would not break you. The doors that once refused to open were never locked against you. They were simply waiting for the right moment to swing wide. Now, the heavens are shifting in your favor. The atmosphere around your life is thick with divine movement. The same angels who stood guard in your waiting now go forth to deliver your breakthrough. Every prayer you thought went unanswered has been echoing in eternity, gathering momentum for this very hour. You have reached the divine intersection where faith meets fulfillment. Listen, this is your confirmation. You were not imagining the pull in your spirit, that sense that something greater was on the horizon. Heaven has set your miracle in motion, and nothing can stop it now. The voice of God thundered in the sacred writings of Isaiah, chapter 43, verse 19. "Behold, I am doing a new thing. Now it springs forth. Do you not perceive it? I am making a way in the wilderness and streams in the wasteland." Chosen one, do you perceive it? Can you feel it stirring within you, the beginning of the new thing? The wilderness that once surrounded you is shifting into a pathway of promise. The dryness that once defined you is now giving way to the rivers of provision. This is your divine turning point. You may not see the full picture yet, but pieces are falling into place with supernatural precision. That phone call, that opportunity, that sudden open door, they are not coincidences. Heaven has orchestrated them as signs of your release. What once resisted you is now required to recognize you. You are walking into answered prayer. You are stepping into fulfillment. The version of you that waited in pain is not the same one who now receives in power. You have been refined, strengthened, and anointed for this exact moment. Pause for a moment and breathe. Feel the shift around you. The season of waiting is over. The hand of God that once held you still now propels you forward. Your miracle isn't coming, it's here. Let this truth settle deep. You are ready now. You were never behind schedule. You were right on time with heaven's rhythm. Everything you lost, every tear you cried, was watering the soil for this very harvest. The new thing has already begun, and it carries your name. Beloved, don't shrink back. This is the moment to stand tall and declare, "I receive it." The same power that parted the Red Sea is clearing your path. The same Spirit that raised Christ from the dead is breathing life into your future. This is divine evidence that God still fulfills His promises. Now, as you stand in this holy intersection between prophecy and manifestation, take one bold step of faith, like, share, and comment to align yourself with this word. Let the world know you have received your moment of arrival. If you haven't yet, subscribe. Stay connected to this river of prophetic messages that heaven is pouring out for the chosen ones. Type 777 in the comments below as your prophetic declaration symbolizing divine completion and heaven's perfect alignment over your life. What you waited for is here. What you prayed for is happening. Your someday has become today. Beloved chosen one, heaven has not forgotten the nights that shaped you, Every long hour spent in silence, every tear that slid quietly down your face, none of it was wasted. You thought no one saw, but the heavens did. Angels stood by your bedside as you whispered, "Why, Lord?" The stars bore witness as your soul wrestled with the silence of God. Those long nights were not abandonment, they were consecration. You have walked through seasons that tested the very edges of your faith. You have smiled in rooms where your heart was breaking. You have encouraged others while secretly asking heaven for just one sign. The pain you carried was heavy, but you never let go of the thread of belief. That small, trembling yes in your spirit was enough for God to move mountains on your behalf. Heaven remembers how you kept standing when everything tried to push you down. You did not realize that your endurance was worship, that your faith under fire was the sweetest fragrance rising before the throne. The miracle that is now on its way is heaven's answer to your perseverance. You did not suffer for nothing. You were being forged into something unshakable. There were nights when you begged for relief, but heaven was still writing your redemption. When everything seemed quiet, heaven was loud with purpose. The silence of God was never distance, it was depth. It was in those nights of stillness that your roots grew strong enough to carry the weight of your destiny. It is written in the book of Psalms, chapter 34, verse 18. The Lord is close to the brokenhearted and saves those who are crushed in spirit. You see, your brokenness did not repel God, it drew him nearer. Every time your heart shattered, his presence pressed closer. When others turned away, heaven leaned in. The divine does not fear your pain, it transforms it. The God who saw you weep will now cause those tears to water your promise. The long nights were not random. They were divine classrooms. You learned endurance when the answer was delayed. You learned trust when you had no map. You learned how to hear the whisper of God when the world went silent. All of it prepared you for the weight of the glory that now approaches. Every battle carved strength into your spirit. Every disappointment refined your discernment. Every rejection redirected you closer to your true path. What felt like breaking was actually birthing. And though you could not see it, heaven recorded every moment of your faithfulness. You will soon understand why certain prayers took years to be answered. The delay was not cruelty, it was precision. God was protecting you from premature arrival. Had he given you what you wanted too soon, it might have destroyed you. Now you are ready not only to receive the blessing, but to sustain it. Beloved chosen one, look back for a moment. Remember the nights you thought you would not survive, and yet you did. You are here, stronger than ever, carrying light in places that once knew only pain. That strength did not appear overnight. It was forged in the darkness you endured. The enemy hoped those nights would destroy you, but they became the reason your faith is unbreakable. You now carry a quiet authority that cannot be faked. You no longer speak from theory, but from testimony. When you say God is faithful, heaven nods in agreement because you proved it with your endurance. Your story is not a collection of wounds, it is a masterpiece of divine restoration. The scars on your soul are not shameful, they are proof that grace held you together. And soon, the very areas that once caused you to weep will overflow with joy. Hold this truth close: every night that seemed endless was necessary to prepare you for the dawn. The pain that once crushed you will soon make sense in the light of what's coming. The same God who sat with you in the dark is now guiding you into the brilliance of promise fulfilled. The long nights are remembered in heaven, and now, finally, they are redeemed. Beloved chosen one, the hidden season was not a curse, it was the cocoon that shaped your wings. You thought God had forgotten you while others were seen, celebrated, and chosen. You watched as opportunities passed by. Doors stayed closed and silence filled the spaces where you expected favor. Yet what you didn't know was that heaven was hiding you for protection, not rejection. Every unseen day was divine strategy. The world could not handle the version of you that God was creating. So he concealed you in stillness, away from distraction, away from imitation, away from those who would have misused your gift before it was mature. You were not being overlooked, you were being preserved. The wilderness was your workshop, in hidden places. Your faith learned to breathe without applause. Your heart learned to trust without proof. You became fluent in divine timing, sensitive to heaven's whispers. What felt like isolation was actually insulation, God shielding you from noise that could have suffocated your purpose. Do you remember those days when you prayed for visibility? When you asked God to open doors and let the world see what he placed inside you? Heaven's response was not no, but not yet. Your anointing needed depth before it could shine without burning out. You were not delayed, you were being developed. The Spirit reminds us through the writings in the Gospel of Luke. Chapter 1, verse 80. And the child grew and became strong in spirit, and he lived in the wilderness until he appeared publicly to Israel. Just as John the Baptist was hidden until his appointed time, you too were being strengthened in private for public purpose. The wilderness was not wasted, it was a forge. The fire of obscurity was purifying you, refining your motives, burning away pride and fear, leaving only pure gold of purpose. Heaven saw when you felt invisible. It was there when you asked, "Why am I still waiting and why does no one notice me?" Yet, even then, your silence echoed in eternity. While you were hidden, heaven was writing your unveiling, and when God writes the moment of your emergence, no human hand can stop it. The hidden season was never about punishment, it was about preparation. God was not withholding blessings from you, he was protecting blessings for you. The things meant for you could not fall into the wrong hands. So he concealed them until your heart was aligned and ready to steward them with wisdom. Chosen one, you must understand visibility is not validation. Obedience is, you are not valuable because people see you. You are valuable because heaven chose you. When your season of revealing comes, it will not be forced or fabricated. It will flow naturally. And those who once overlooked you will wonder how you emerged with such power and grace. There will come a moment when everything suddenly makes sense, the years of silence, the unseen faithfulness, the prayers with no immediate answers. It will all unfold as divine poetry. You will see how every hidden day was a thread woven into a greater tapestry of destiny. And when that day comes, you will not need to explain yourself. The results will speak louder than words. The same mouths that once questioned you will declare, "Surely the hand of God is upon them." So if you are still in the hidden place right now, take heart. You are not forgotten, you are being formed. Every unseen act of obedience, every quiet prayer, every private battle, it all matters. Heaven is shaping a vessel that will carry glory without pride and influence without compromise. When the time comes, the unveiling will be undeniable. You won't need to chase platforms or plead for recognition. Doors will open on command because they were written to respond to your name. You will emerge radiant, refined, and ready. And in this sacred moment, before that unveiling fully arrives, declare your readiness. Write these words below, "I am prepared." Type it not as a casual comment, but as a covenant declaration. Let heaven see that you understand the weight of your waiting. Let it be known in the unseen realms that you no longer despise the hidden season, you honor it. Because it was in that hiddenness that heaven carved your greatness. Your time of obscurity was the proof of your authenticity. The next time the world sees you, it will be as someone transformed by fire, not fame. And when that day arrives, you'll know it was all worth it. Beloved chosen one, what you called delay was never a denial. It was divine timing, disguised as stillness. You thought God was late, but he was perfecting the details. Every not yet that frustrated your soul was heaven's way of saying, I'm preparing more than what you asked for. The pause was not punishment, it was protection from premature arrival. You see, there is a difference between what is good and what is God's. Some doors open easily, but not every open door leads to destiny. God, in his mercy, withheld certain opportunities because they were too small for the magnitude of your calling. You asked for movement, but he wanted maturity first. You prayed for visibility, but he was building vision within you. Delay is often the soil of destiny. Seeds do not sprout the moment they're planted. Beneath the surface, unseen roots stretch deep before life breaks through. In the same way, your unseen season was the underground preparation of your purpose. Heaven was deepening your foundation so that when your breakthrough came, it would not collapse under the weight of blessing. Every waiting moment was a classroom for trust. When answers didn't come, faith became your teacher. When silence surrounded you, peace became your companion. You learned to worship without reward, to love without recognition, to serve without spotlight. That kind of growth cannot be rushed, it must be refined in time's furnace. According to what is revealed in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verse 11, he has made everything beautiful in its time. He has also set eternity in the human heart, yet no one can fathom what God has done from beginning to end. Your waiting was sacred. Chosen one, it taught you how to let go of control. It stripped away the illusion that you could orchestrate your own breakthrough. The same God who spoke galaxies into motion has been guiding every detail of your journey with precision. He does not rush. He does not forget. He is never early, and he is never late. While you waited, heaven was aligning. Hearts were being softened. Circumstances were shifting. The right people were being positioned to recognize your light when it was time. And though you saw no visible progress, the unseen realm was alive with divine motion. There were moments you thought God was silent, but silence is not absence, it's strategy. The greatest symphonies begin in quiet measures. God was fine-tuning your life for perfect harmony. Every unanswered prayer, every closed door, every delay was a note in a song that will soon burst forth with beauty. Beloved, you must know this truth: divine timing is not slow. It is exact. If the blessing had arrived sooner, it would have met the wrong version of you. There was still strength to build, wisdom to gain, healing to complete. The wait was heaven's way of ensuring that when you stepped into the promise, you would not lose yourself in it. You were never standing still. You were being synchronized. Heaven's clocks do not tick by seconds, but by seasons. And your season, your appointed hour, is approaching faster than you think. You will soon look back and realize that what felt like delay was the hand of God setting everything into divine order. The pain of waiting has produced the patience of a warrior. The frustration you once felt has become discernment. You no longer move just because something is available. You move when heaven says, go. That is maturity. That is spiritual authority. God's delays are his mercy in disguise. He holds back what you want until it becomes what you need. He hides the promise until you have the strength to carry it. The waiting season is never wasted when you wait with worship. So now, do not despise the pauses in your life. They are divine punctuation marks between the chapters of your becoming. They give shape to your story. rhythm to your destiny. Every weight from heaven carries the hidden whisper of soon. Chosen one, trust that your waiting has built something eternal inside you. What you thought was stillness was actually God's careful choreography. The day is coming when the doors will swing open, and you will understand why the timing had to be exact. And when that moment arrives, you won't resent the waiting, you will bless it. You will realize that the very delays that once broke your heart became the proof that heaven never stopped working for you. You waited well, and because you did, what's coming next will not only be right, it will be beautiful. Beloved chosen one, the trumpet of awakening has sounded, though softly at first, like a breeze stirring through leaves before the storm of glory breaks. You feel it, don't you, that trembling in your spirit, that sudden sense that something inside you has come alive again. The long slumber is ending. The voice of heaven is calling your name through the wind. This is not imagination. This is invitation. Heaven is saying, rise, it's time. The same God who once called Lazarus from the tomb now calls you from your dormancy. You are no longer meant to merely survive. You are meant to awaken. For too long you have walked with your light dimmed, afraid that your flame might be too much for the world around you. But your light was never meant to blend, it was meant to break through. There is a divine sound, a trumpet that calls the chosen out of shadows. It does not shout condemnation, it sings restoration. It says, come forth, your time has come. Heaven speaks clearly through the writings of Paul in the first letter to the Corinthians, chapter 15. Verse 52, in a flash, in the twinkling of an eye, at the last trumpet. For the trumpet will sound, the dead will be raised imperishable, and we will be changed. That change begins now. The trumpet has sounded in your spirit, and something within you refuses to remain asleep. Every disappointment that once buried your fire is losing its grip. Every fear that once held you is trembling. God is awakening not just your hope, but your purpose. Imagine a field after a long winter, frozen, silent, lifeless. Then, one morning, sunlight breaks through the frost and the ground begins to tremble. Life hidden beneath the surface bursts upward in color and fragrance. That is you now. What looked dead was only waiting for the warmth of divine breath. You are the seed that survived the storm. You are the ember that refused to die in the ashes, and now, heaven blows gently upon you, turning a spark into a flame. This awakening is not loud, it is deep. It starts in whispers, in tears, in that quiet conviction that something inside you must rise again. Beloved, the trumpet is not only a call, it is a charge. It reminds you that you were never ordinary. You were not made to simply exist, you were made to ignite. When heaven awakens you, it also assigns you. Your voice matters, your presence matters, your obedience matters. There are souls waiting on the sound of your rising. You may never meet them face to face, but your obedience will ripple across generations. Every act of faith, every word of kindness, every seed of generosity becomes an echo of the trumpet you heard today. You might not hold a physical trumpet in your hand, but you hold something greater, a testimony. And when you share it, when you speak from your awakening, the sound travels farther than you can imagine. It touches hearts you will never see, heals wounds you will never know, and stirs faith in those who thought hope had died. So let your awakening not end in silence. Let it become song, movement, and light. Share what heaven has begun in you. Whisper your testimony to someone who's fading. Spread the sound so that others may rise too. If this message has stirred something within you, if you feel the trumpet vibrating through your soul, then let your response be sacred. Like this message as a sign that you've heard the call. Share it so that the sound of awakening reaches others still asleep in despair. And if you've been walking this journey with us, consider subscribing to stay connected with this river of divine revelation. Each message is another note in the song heaven is composing over your life. For those who feel led, you may also donate not as obligation but as worship. Every seed sown helps this trumpet sound louder, reaching hearts that long to awaken. It is not payment, it is participation. You become part of the symphony heaven is conducting. Beloved chosen one, the trumpet has sounded and you have heard it. Rise from the ashes of delay, shake off the dust of fear. The time to awaken is now. Beloved chosen one, heaven is aligning everything around you, even in the smallest details. The signs are moving, the subtle whispers, the quiet coincidences, the sacred patterns that your spirit keeps noticing. You call them strange moments, but heaven calls them confirmations. Nothing in your life right now is random. Every delay, every encounter, every sudden shift has been divinely choreographed for your good. You might have thought, maybe I'm overthinking this, maybe it's all just chance. But no. Chosen one, this is not chance, it's coordination. You are living in the midst of divine alignment. The universe bends when heaven speaks, and right now, creation itself is moving to make room for your miracle. Heaven is saying, watch closely. The signs are not coming from the outside, they are also awakening within you. That sudden peace you feel out of nowhere, that sense of knowing, that stirring in your chest, it is heaven's way of saying, I am near. The apostle reminds us in his letter to the Romans chapter 8, verse 28. And we know that in all things God works for the good of those who love him, who have been called according to his purpose. You see, every piece of your story is being woven into a greater design. What seemed like separate events are now converging into divine order. The friendship that appeared out of nowhere, the opportunity that resurfaced after years, the message that reached you at the exact moment you needed it, none of these are coincidences. They are God's fingerprints, pressed gently into the fabric of your days. There are signs in motion all around you, but they require spiritual eyes to see. You must look beyond logic, beyond appearance, and into divine rhythm. When you do, you'll begin to notice patterns, numbers that repeat, songs that seem to follow you, words that echo from different mouths but carry the same message: your time has come. These are heaven's subtle ways of keeping your heart awake. The signs are reminders that you are not wandering, you are being guided. What you call a random delay is often a redirection from danger. What you think is bad timing is actually divine synchronization. Beloved, take a deep breath and release your worry. Heaven has not forgotten a single detail. Even the detours are destiny. The wind is blowing in your favor, and though you may not see the full map, God's hand is steady on the compass. The same spirit that hovered over the waters of creation is hovering over your life right now, bringing order where there was once chaos. The things that once didn't make sense are about to connect like stars in a constellation, suddenly forming a picture that takes your breath away. You've entered the season of divine confirmation, where heaven is not only speaking, but showing. The signs will come in unexpected ways, through words, through dreams, through sudden peace in uncertain places. And when they appear, your spirit will know. You won't need to second guess it. You'll feel heaven's signature on it, unmistakable, undeniable, divine. This is your call to awareness. Pay attention to the small things, for in them, God hides great messages. A delay at a traffic light might save you from harm. A conversation with a stranger might deliver an answer to a prayer. A number appearing repeatedly may not just be math, it might be a message. Every alignment is an echo of heaven saying, You are not forgotten. You are being led step by step, perfectly on schedule. Now, beloved, if this word resonates within your spirit, if you've been sensing these divine patterns and feel heaven confirming your path, respond not with fear but with faith. Take a symbolic step and comment the number 888 below. 8 is the number of new beginnings, and today heaven marks yours with triple confirmation. When you type it, do not do it out of ritual, but out of revelation. It is your agreement with heaven's alignment. It is your declaration that you are ready for the new thing God has set in motion. Your steps are ordered. Your timing is divine, and the signs are already unfolding. Watch closely, chosen one. Your miracle is in motion. Beloved chosen one, when the light begins to rise, darkness does not disappear quietly. The enemy always fights hardest just before breakthrough. When you feel the greatest pressure, when confusion seems to close in from every side, it is often the final resistance before release. You are not being punished, you are being targeted because of what you carry. The darkness senses your awakening and trembles. You have wondered why battles have intensified lately, why your peace feels attacked, why distractions multiply, why exhaustion visits at the very moment you decide to step forward in faith. It is because the enemy knows he cannot stop your destiny. So he tries to exhaust you before you arrive. But hear this clearly, he is losing ground with every breath you take in faith. The Spirit spoke through the prophet Isaiah, chapter 54, verse 17. No weapon that is formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that rises against you in judgment you shall condemn. This is the heritage of the servants of the Lord, and their righteousness is from me, declares the Lord. No weapon, whether it be words, worry, or weariness, can prosper against the one heaven has chosen. You have been surrounded not by defeat, but by divine defense. The attacks that come are evidence of your anointing. Hell only fights what heaven favors. In this season, your discernment must be sharp. The enemy disguises discouragement as delay and confusion as coincidence. He tries to whisper lies into your thoughts. It's not working. You're alone. Maybe you misunderstood. But remember, darkness only has power in silence. The moment you speak truth, light floods in. When you declare, God is still with me, the shadows lose their grip. Do not fear the pressure. Diamonds are born in it. The more intense the battle, the greater the glory waiting on the other side. Every spiritual attack is a signpost announcing breakthrough ahead. You are too close to turn back now. There will be moments when fatigue hits you like a wave. You will feel like withdrawing, hiding again, or settling for comfort. But comfort never creates warriors. Confrontation does. The presence of resistance means there is something precious within you worth protecting. You are carrying a divine promise that hell cannot destroy. Remember, even Jesus faced a storm before reaching the shore where miracles awaited. The winds screamed, the waters raged, yet his purpose was unshaken. Likewise, your storm is not evidence of failure, it is confirmation of arrival. Every gust of opposition only pushes you closer to destiny. You might feel battle-worn, but heaven calls you battle-ready. You have endured trials that others could not. You have faced betrayals, disappointments, and silent seasons, but still, you stand. The scars you carry are not shame. They are symbols of survival. They declare that no darkness has prevailed against your light. When the enemy brings back memories of failure, remind him of what he cannot erase: your covenant with God. You have been sealed by promise, marked by purpose. No attack can rewrite what heaven has decreed over your life. You were chosen before the foundation of the world, and no force in creation can unchoose you. Beloved, the war may rage around you, but peace still reigns within you. You carry the authority of heaven's decree. When you speak, angels respond. When you pray, strongholds tremble. The enemy's strategy is to make you forget your power, but you will not. You are not made to cower. You are made to conquer. Lift your eyes from the battlefield for a moment and look to the sky. Even the night has stars. Even in war, heaven paints reminders of hope across the heavens. The light may seem distant, but it is constant. So too is your Father's hand steady, sovereign, unshaken. The storm will not last forever. Every battle has an appointed end, and yours is nearing, so the very thing that tried to break you will become the testimony that crowns you. The weapons formed against you will serve as proof of your victory. Chosen one, do not fear the noise. The louder it grows, the closer you are to silence it forever. You are not losing, you are rising through resistance. Stand firm, breathe deep, and remember, heaven fights beside you. Beloved chosen one, every divine exchange begins with surrender. Before God multiplies, He asks for release. Before He fills, He first must empty. This is the mystery of heaven's economy. What you place in His hands never diminishes. It transforms. And though it may hurt to let go, what you give up in faith becomes the seed of your next miracle. There comes a sacred moment in every chosen life when God whispers, "Give me that." Sometimes it's a relationship, a dream, a plan, or even a version of yourself you thought you had to be. The voice doesn't come to take, but to trade, to exchange what is broken for what is blessed, what is temporary for what is eternal. You have been carrying things that once served you but can no longer go with you. Heaven cannot fill hands that are clenched around yesterday. The promise waiting ahead requires empty palms and open hearts. What you release in faith will always return multiplied in grace. The Spirit reminds us through the words written in the Gospel of Matthew, chapter 16, verse 25. For whoever wants to save their life will lose it, but whoever loses their life for me will find it. Surrender is not defeat, it is divine alignment. When you let go of control, you invite heaven to take command. When you release what you cannot fix, you make space for the miraculous. God does not ask for what you have to break you. He asks for it to bless you. Think of Abraham standing on the mountain, knife trembling in his hand, heart breaking as he prepared to give up his promised son. What he didn't know was that God never wanted the sacrifice, He wanted the trust. The moment Abraham lifted his hand, heaven released a ram in the thicket. The exchange happened the instant surrender was complete. Beloved, your Isaac moment has come. The thing you've held tight, the fear, the outcome, the timeline must be placed on the altar. Because once you do, provision will appear where there once was lack. What you thought you would lose will return as a double portion. You may ask, why must it hurt? Because surrender always feels like loss before it reveals itself as love. The soil does not understand why the seed disappears, but the seed knows resurrection is coming. Likewise, when God asks you to lay something down, it's because He plans to raise something greater in its place. Every true miracle begins with an exchange. Moses laid down a staff and picked up divine power. Ruth left behind her homeland and walked into destiny. Peter dropped his nets and found purpose. Each one had to let go of the familiar before heaven could entrust them with the extraordinary. What is God asking you to exchange today? Is it your fear of failure, your desire for control, your attachment to what's fading? The moment you surrender it, you'll feel the weight lift, and in its place, peace will flow like a river. Heaven's economy is not measured by what you keep, but by what you release. The world says, hold tightly to survive. God says, Let go to truly live. When you finally unclench your hands, you'll discover they were never empty, they were being prepared to receive. There is beauty in surrender. It softens the soul, clears the heart, and aligns your steps with grace. What you release doesn't disappear, it transforms, reappearing in ways you never imagined. The very thing you thought was leaving your life often returns dressed as answered prayer. Beloved chosen one, your willingness to surrender is your act of worship. It tells heaven, I trust you more than my own understanding. It invites God to do what only He can: turn ashes into beauty, mourning into joy, and loss into legacy. When the divine exchange is complete, you will not feel emptiness but expansion. You will find that what God gives always exceeds what He asks. The weight you lay down today becomes the wings that lift you tomorrow. So, breathe deeply and release. Let go of the old story, the old fear, the old plan. Heaven is waiting to fill your hands with something far greater than what you're afraid to lose. And when the exchange is done, you will understand nothing surrendered to God is ever truly gone. It simply returns, sanctified and multiplied. Beloved chosen one, the moment you have longed for, the one heaven whispered about in your dreams, is here. The door you have prayed for is opening, and it will not close again. What once seemed locked, sealed, and out of reach now swings wide at the command of heaven. You can almost feel the shift, the air around you changing, the atmosphere humming with divine movement. This is not a feeling, it's fulfillment. There was a time when you knocked and heard only silence. You questioned if you were standing before the wrong door, if perhaps you'd misheard God's instructions. But heaven never forgot your persistence. Every prayer, every tear, every moment you chose faith over frustration was the key being shaped for this door. And now, the click of destiny echoes in the spirit it has opened. The voice of heaven declares in the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 8, I know your deeds. See, I have placed before you an open door that no one can shut. I know that you have little strength, yet you have kept my word and have not denied my name. You kept believing even when belief hurt. You kept walking even when the path disappeared beneath your feet. That faith did not go unnoticed. God has seen your endurance and now honors it with access. This door is not ordinary. It leads to a realm of fulfillment you have never known, a place where your calling and preparation collide. For years, you have been gathering the tools, the wisdom, and the scars that would one day prove you ready. This is that day. When heaven opens a door, it does not require your strength to keep it open. You do not have to fight for it. You simply have to walk through it. The same God who opened it will sustain it. The invitation is not for striving, it is for stepping. But hear this clearly, not every door that opens deserves your entrance. There will be distractions disguised as opportunities, shortcuts pretending to be destiny. That is why discernment is your compass. Not every open door is from God, but this one is. You will know because it will not require you to compromise who you are. It will not drain you, it will align you. The enemy will try to whisper that you are unworthy to enter, that you are not ready, that others are more qualified. Silence that voice with truth. This door has your name written on it in heaven's language. It is not based on merit, it is based on mercy. When you step through, you will notice that things begin to accelerate. People will appear to help where there were none before. Ideas will flow, provision will find you. What once required effort will now unfold with grace. It is not luck, it is divine momentum. This moment, chosen one, is a reward for your resilience. You didn't quit when you had every reason to. You didn't walk away when doors slammed shut. And because of that, heaven now honors you with access to what was always yours. You are standing on holy ground, the threshold of transformation. The sound you hear is the hinge of history turning in your favor. So, before you take the step, pause. Feel the weight of the moment. This is the intersection between promise and performance. Everything that once confused you now begins to make sense. Every delay, every detour, every disappointment, they were preparing you to walk through this door with wisdom instead of weariness. Now take a deep breath. The door is opened. We walk forward with reverence, with confidence, with joy. You are not trespassing, you are arriving. And as a prophetic act, write these words below: I am entering. Type it as a declaration, not a hope. Let heaven see your agreement. When you declare it, you activate it. When you write it, you step through it. Let this moment mark the beginning of your new chapter. The door stands open before you. Beloved, step through it because what you prayed for is waiting on the other side. Beloved chosen one, do you feel it, the subtle tremor in the air, the warmth wrapping itself around your spirit? The atmosphere has shifted. Heaven's current is moving, and you are standing right in the middle of it. Everything around you hums with unseen energy, as though creation itself has been waiting for you to notice. You are breathing in the fragrance of change. This is not imagination. The atmosphere truly carries weight. Just as morning dew testifies that night has ended, your spirit testifies that the season has turned. You have stepped out of preparation and into manifestation. The heaviness that once clung to your soul is lifting because heaven is filling the air with favor. Heaven speaks through the ancient writings in the book of Job, chapter 22, verse 28. You will also decree a thing, and it will be established for you, and light will shine on your ways. Your words now carry creative power. When you speak, things align. When you declare peace, storms calm. When you call for provision, it begins to flow. The light you carry is no longer hidden. It radiates through your words, actions, and presence. Imagine yourself standing at the shore as waves roll toward you. Each wave brings something new: peace, favor, opportunity, strength. Some waves are soft, brushing your feet like whispers of grace. Others crash with power, announcing breakthrough. This is how divine favor moves wave after wave, and until you are drenched in blessings. Do not fear the motion. The waters that once threatened to drown you are now carrying you forward. You are no longer struggling to swim. You are learning to float in faith. Every current that seemed against you is now propelling you toward purpose. The shift in atmosphere means that heaven has recognized your readiness. Angels have been dispatched. Divine appointments are converging. The world may not see it yet, but you can feel it, the invisible turning visible. Even your surroundings respond differently. What used to drain you now begins to delight you. What used to close now opens easily. Beloved, this is the fragrance of favor, like spring after a long winter. It arrives quietly but transforms everything it touches. The same ground that once felt barren is now blooming beneath your feet. You are walking through fields of promise. And when God pours out such grace, the heart naturally overflows with gratitude. When you receive, you also desire to give, to let the flow continue. Every act of kindness, every seed of generosity becomes like another ripple in this divine tide. When you bless others, heaven breathes deeper through you. If this message has spoken to your soul, if you have felt the atmosphere of your life changing as these words unfold, then let that gratitude find expression. Like this message as a testimony that you feel the shift. Share it so that others standing in their own storms may sense the same wind of change moving for them. And if this space has become a sanctuary for your spirit, consider subscribing not for routine, but for rhythm. Every message you receive here is another note in the song of awakening that heaven is composing over your life. For those whose hearts are moved, you may also choose to donate. Think of it not as a transaction, but as planting a seed into living soil. Your giving becomes the rain that allows this message to reach hearts in drought. Every word you help send forward carries the same light that now rests upon you. You are not funding content, you are fueling calling. Beloved, the atmosphere responds to faith. When you act in gratitude, heaven amplifies its movement around you. The same God who shifted your season will continue to expand your influence, touching others through your obedience. You are no longer merely receiving light, you are reflecting it. Everywhere you go, people will sense peace without knowing why. You will become a walking reminder that God still moves, still breathes, still blesses. So stand still for a moment. Feel the air on your skin, the stillness between breaths. That's heaven brushing past you, confirming what your heart already knows. The shift is real, and it has begun. Beloved chosen one, there are moments when heaven speaks not with thunder, but through confirmation, quiet signs, repeating patterns, the gentle hum of truth that echoes again and again until your spirit finally understands. This is God. You have entered that season now where what you once doubted is being made undeniable. The divine has begun to speak in the language of evidence. You no longer need to beg for reassurance. The confirmation you prayed for is already unfolding. Look closely, it's there in the conversations that feel too perfectly timed, in the dreams that replay with new clarity, in the words that strangers speak that sound like answers from heaven. The veil between the spiritual and the physical has thinned, and heaven is echoing your name through the everyday. Heaven has always known how to speak your language. For some, he sends numbers repeating patterns that stir the heart. 33:11:11, or the sudden sight of a verse that you just read earlier. For others, he moves through symbols, doves, rainbows, songs that appear at the exact moment you need them. God's confirmations are not random. They are reminders that he is closer than your breath, as the Apostle Paul once wrote in his second letter to the Corinthians, chapter 13, verse 1. Every matter must be established by the testimony of 2 or 3 witnesses. Heaven follows its own principle of confirmation. When God intends for you to know something beyond doubt, he repeats it through scripture, through people, through moments that link together like golden threads. It is never coincidence, it is clarity. Remember how Gideon laid out the fleece, trembling with uncertainty. Asking God for a sign of assurance, he did not do so out of arrogance, but out of humility. He wanted to know, am I really the one you've chosen? And God, patient and kind, answered both requests. The dew and the dryness became divine proof that he was indeed appointed. Beloved, you are living your own fleece moment. God is confirming what your heart has long suspected, that you are not wandering. You are walking in divine order. The signs surrounding you are not illusions of hope. They are blueprints of destiny. Heaven's confirmations come not to entertain, but to empower. They remind you that faith and fact are not opposites, they are companions. Faith begins where reason ends, and confirmation is heaven's gentle way of bridging the two. There are things you used to question that now settle quietly inside you without explanation. You can't articulate why you're so sure, but you just know. That knowing is the Spirit bearing witness with your spirit. It's the still voice of God saying, yes, this is the way, walk in it. Sometimes confirmation comes wrapped in contradiction. Doors you expected to open stay closed, only for others unexpected. even impossible to swing wide. Do not confuse rejection with redirection. The no you received was simply heaven's way of protecting the yes that was meant for you. You will see a pattern soon, people appearing who carry messages that align perfectly with what God whispered to you in private. Opportunities re-emerging that you thought were gone. Numbers, names, and symbols reappearing until they can no longer be ignored. Every detail is evidence of orchestration, of beloved. These signs are not meant to make you superstitious, but steadfast. They anchor you when storms of doubt arise. They are heaven's fingerprints, pressed gently onto the pages of your story. When you receive a confirmation, pause and give thanks. Whisper, "I hear you, Lord." Gratitude solidifies the moment, turning a sign into a seal. When you honor the small confirmations, greater revelations follow. And understand this confirmation is not only for the beginning of your journey, it's also for the moments when you are weary. God knows when your heart begins to question, and He sends reminders to rekindle the flame. That song that plays as you pray, that verse that appears again, that unexpected word of encouragement, it's heaven tapping your shoulder saying, "Oh, to keep going. You are still in my plan." Soon you will not need signs to believe. Belief itself will become the sign. Faith will feel as natural as breathing. You will no longer chase confirmation, it will chase you. It will find you in ordinary moments and turn them holy. Chosen one, do not doubt what you are seeing. The alignments, the repetitions, the whispers, they are all messages written in heaven's handwriting. You are not imagining the divine patterns. You are witnessing the unfolding of divine proof. Heaven confirms not to convince, but to comfort. You are walking exactly where you need to be. Beloved chosen one, you are now standing in the hour where promise becomes presence. The miracle you once only prayed for, imagined, and whispered about in secret is beginning to take shape before your very eyes. What was invisible is turning tangible. You can feel it in your spirit, like the first drops of rain before the storm of blessing. Heaven is unfolding its masterpiece, and you are the center of it. You once wondered if your prayers were echoing into nothing, if maybe your faith had expired in the waiting. But look around you now. Things are shifting. People are changing. Opportunities are appearing from places you never looked before. This is not coincidence. This is culmination. Every tear you cried was currency in the economy of heaven. And now the return is coming in abundance. The prophet Elijah spoke as recorded in the first book of Kings, chapter 18, verse 44. The seventh time the servant reported, "A cloud as small as a man's hand is rising from the sea." So Elijah said, "Go and tell Ahab, prepare your chariot and go down before the rain stops you." Do you see it? Chosen one. That small sign, the tiny cloud rising in the distance, represents your miracle in motion. It may start small, but within it is a downpour of divine fulfillment. What begins as a whisper of hope will soon thunder with manifestation. God never forgets a single seed of faith, and He never wastes a single moment of delay. You are stepping into the season of evidence. What you believed in silence, you will now hold in your hands. The long years of preparation are giving way to revelation. You will walk into rooms you once only dreamed of. You will see doors open that no human hand could have forced. The people who doubted you will become witnesses of what faith can birth. But remember, miracles are not accidents, they are alignments. They appear when your heart, your obedience, and heaven's timing intersect perfectly. That is happening now. Every no you faced, every closed path, every disappointment, they were not barriers but borders, keeping you aligned with what truly belonged to you. When miracles manifest, they do not come quietly. They come with confirmation. You will sense it deep in your soul, that still voice saying, "This is what I promised." And you'll realize that the waiting was never empty. It was sacred preparation. Beloved, this moment will change you, not just because of what you receive, but because of what you become. You will no longer see faith as something fragile, but as something fierce. You will understand that hope is not naive, it is prophetic. And every time you believed when logic said to quit, heaven was building this very moment. Your miracle may not arrive wrapped in the way you expected. It may come through an unexpected messenger, a different door, or a smaller beginning. But don't despise the size of the cloud, celebrate it. That small sign carries the fullness of the storm. The same hand that formed the universe is now forming your breakthrough. And when it comes, you will feel the atmosphere of your life change. What once resisted will begin to release. What once felt heavy will turn light. There will be a sudden ease in places that used to demand effort. That is the grace of manifestation, the divine flow that replaces striving with stillness. The miracle you needed is not coming to you, it's coming through you. You are the vessel heaven chose to display its power. When others look at you, they will see more than answered prayer. They will see proof that God still fulfills His promises. This is the moment to align your heart fully with what heaven is releasing. Let go of fear, doubt, and unworthiness. You are not an outsider to God's goodness, you are its recipient. The promise belongs to you because you persevered. Now, as a prophetic act, seal this truth with your faith. Comment the number 5 below. 5 represents grace, and triple grace means divine completion multiplied. It symbolizes the release of supernatural favor and the end of delay. When you type it, do it as an act of gratitude, not desperation. You are not asking anymore, you are receiving. Heaven has declared the rain has begun. The small cloud has become a flood of blessing. Your miracle is no longer a prophecy, it is reality. The wait is over, chosen one. Stand in awe, because what God has begun cannot be stopped. Beloved chosen one, in the quiet unfolding of your miracle, something even greater is being revealed. You are not just receiving the blessing, you are becoming it. The miracle is not merely happening around you, it is happening through you. You were never simply waiting for an external sign of divine favor. You were being transformed into the living evidence of God's power. The truth is that heaven was not just working for you, it was working in you. Every hardship you endured, every prayer you whispered in weakness, every act of faith when no one was watching, has been shaping your very nature. What once wounded you has become the well from which others will drink. You are now the vessel through which heaven will pour comfort, wisdom, and strength into the world. It is written in the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 3, verse 3. You show that you are a letter from Christ, the result of our ministry, written not with ink, but with the Spirit of the living God, not on tablets of stone, but on tablets of human hearts. You are that letter, chosen one. You are heaven's message written in flesh and breath. When others look at your life, they will not just see survival, they will see divine authorship. The trials that once broke you have become sentences of testimony, and the mercy that healed you has become the ink of your story. There is a shift that happens when you move from receiving miracles to becoming one. It is not loud or dramatic. It happens quietly, often in moments of reflection when you realize that the pain no longer hurts the same way, that forgiveness flows more easily, that peace now lives where fear once ruled, that transformation is holy. It means God's fingerprints have settled deeply into your soul. You once prayed, "Lord, change my situation." But heaven answered by changing you. Because sometimes the true miracle is not in what God gives, but in who you become while waiting. You have become a carrier of light, a living reminder that grace restores what pain tried to destroy. Look at how your heart now recognizes brokenness in others and responds with compassion instead of judgment. That is evidence of divine transformation. Look at how you no longer chase validation, because you've learned that being chosen is not about applause but about alignment. That is proof that heaven has rewritten your identity. You are no longer the person who entered the storm trembling. You are the one who walks out radiant. You are not merely the recipient of answered prayers, you are the continuation of God's promise. When you speak, healing travels in your words. When you walk into a room, peace shifts the atmosphere. That is what happens when you become the miracle. Every time someone hears your story and finds hope, you are multiplying the miracle. Every time you forgive where bitterness once lived, you are displaying heaven's nature. Every act of love, every moment of grace, is a ripple from the divine transformation within you. This is the sacred exchange of the chosen ones. What once broke you now blesses others. Your wounds have become windows where God's light shines through. The scars you carry are not reminders of loss, they are the map of how you found redemption. Do not underestimate the power of your presence. The world may never know all you endured, but they will feel the glory that surrounds you. You are a walking answer to countless silent prayers, proof that even in a world of darkness, light still wins. And though your journey has been marked with fire, remember, gold only glows after the flame. You have been refined, purified, and set apart. The furnace that once frightened you has now become your birthplace of strength. Beloved, understand this: God does not waste vessels He has refined. You will now walk into spaces designed to receive the very healing that flows from your testimony. Your story is not finished, it is multiplying. Where you go, hope will follow. Where you speak, hearts will awaken. You are not merely chosen to witness miracles, you are chosen to be one. When people encounter you, they will sense the sacred weight of someone who has walked with God through both the valley and the victory. You are the living evidence that divine love restores, that faith rebuilds, that heaven still moves. You are the miracle made manifest, the living proof that nothing surrendered to God remains ordinary. Beloved chosen one, when God entrusts a blessing, He also imparts a mantle. Every miracle carries a mission, and every answered prayer carries an assignment. You are not simply a receiver, you are a carrier. What heaven has placed in your hands now becomes something heaven expects you to release into the world. You are not meant to hold the glory, you are meant to host it. The mantle is not an object of pride, it is a garment of purpose. When it settles upon you, it does not feel like luxury, it feels like responsibility. You begin to sense a deeper pull in your spirit, a calling to live beyond comfort and convenience. This is what it means to carry the mantle, to walk with divine weight, to bear light that cannot be hidden, and to move in a grace that transforms everything around you. We are reminded through the story written in the second book of Kings, chapter 2, verse 13. Elisha then picked up Elijah's cloak that had fallen from him and went back and stood on the bank of the Jordan. When Elisha caught Elijah's mantle, he didn't just inherit a prophet's garment, he inherited heaven's responsibility. The same spirit that empowered his mentor now rested upon him, not for his own glory, but for the continuation of divine purpose. In the same way, you too have caught something sacred in your journey: wisdom from your pain, strength from your trials, faith from your waiting. These are your mantles, woven not from fabric, but from fire. The mantle you carry is unique to you. It carries the scent of your journey, the prayers you prayed in the dark, the sacrifices you made when no one was watching, the quiet acts of obedience that heaven recorded. No one else can wear it, for it was fitted perfectly to your soul. When you walk in it, doors open that would remain closed to another. When you speak from it, heaven amplifies your voice. To carry a mantle is to remember that what was once your weakness has now become your weapon. The same area where you once suffered is the very place where God now uses you to heal others. The tears you once shed for survival have become oil for anointing. Your story has transformed from pain into purpose. But with every mantle comes a cost. You will feel its weight at times. You will sense its call when others are at rest. You will walk paths that require both courage and surrender. This is not punishment, it is the privilege of partnership with heaven. God does not call the comfortable. He calls those willing to be carriers of his heart. There will be days when you question why the mantle feels heavy, why others seem free of its pull. But remember, it was never meant to crush you. It was meant to crown you. You were built for this. Heaven does not place its assignments on fragile shoulders. The same Spirit that gave you the call will give you the capacity to carry it. Your mantle will draw others to you not because of charisma, but because of authenticity. People will see something radiant in your endurance, something unshakable in your faith. They will recognize heaven's hand upon your life even before you speak. The mantle is silent proof that you have walked with God. Carrying the mantle means living as a mirror of mercy. It means walking into rooms and carrying peace without speaking. It means choosing integrity when shortcuts would be easier. It means remembering that power is not for control, it is for compassion. The world needs what you carry. The mantle was never meant to remain hidden in prayer rooms or quiet corners. It was meant to move through marketplaces, conversations, and daily moments. When you act in kindness, when you forgive, when you lead with humility, you are releasing the anointing of your mantle. Do not fear its weight. Over time, it becomes part of you, no longer something you wear, but something you are. The Spirit of God will rest upon you so naturally that carrying His presence will feel as effortless as breathing. You are not just blessed, you are commissioned. You walk now as one entrusted with divine responsibility to be light, to be voice, to be vessel. The mantle has chosen its bearer, and it fits you perfectly. Carry it with reverence, carry it with courage, and remember, every time you lift it in obedience, heaven moves with you. Beloved chosen one, the crown is descending. Can you feel its weight? It's not heavy with gold, but with glory. It rests not on your head for decoration, but for declaration. Heaven is saying, this one has overcome. After all the years of quiet endurance, unseen battles, and faithful obedience, you are being crowned not for perfection, but for perseverance. Crowns in heaven's language are not made of jewels, but of journeys. Every trial you endured became a gem. Every prayer whispered in the dark became gold refined by fire. The moments when you wanted to quit but didn't, those became the framework of your crown. You didn't just survive, you were shaped into royalty through every hardship you faced. Heaven speaks through the writings of James, chapter 1, verse 12. Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him. This crown is not a symbol of arrival. It is a reminder of identity. You are not crowned because of what you've accomplished, but because of who you are in God's eyes. You were always royal, but now the world will begin to see it too. The crown doesn't make you chosen, it reveals that you always were. Imagine a king returning from battle. His armor bears the dents of war, his cloak carries the scent of smoke, and his eyes tell stories of struggle. Yet when he stands before his people, the crown glistens, not to erase the scars, but to honor them. That is you now. The battle may have been fierce, but the victory is undeniable. The crown descending upon you is not made of arrogance. It is woven with humility. It represents authority anchored in compassion, strength balanced by mercy, and influence guided by wisdom. You are stepping into a realm of divine responsibility, where your light will guide others still trapped in the storms you've already survived. Your voice will carry new weight. Your words will heal, your actions will inspire, and your presence will shift atmospheres. People will be drawn to the peace you wear like a robe. They will ask, "How did you endure?" And you will smile and say, "Grace carried me." That testimony will be your scepter, soft yet powerful. Beloved, this crown is not the end of your journey, it's the beginning of your reign. You are being called to rule not over people, but over fear, doubt, and darkness. You will carry peace into chaos, hope into despair, light into forgotten places. The authority that once felt distant is now sitting on your shoulders. And as you wear it, remember that true royalty serves. A crown is not meant for distance, it's meant for duty. You are not elevated to be above others, but to lift them. Every word of encouragement, every act of generosity, every seed of kindness you sow is a reflection of that royal nature within you. If this message stirs something inside you, if you can feel that crown settling on your spirit, then let this be your response of gratitude. Like this message, not for vanity, but as acknowledgement of what heaven is doing in your life. Share it so that someone still battling in the shadows may see that their crown is also on the way. And if you have been walking this journey with us, subscribe to stay within this circle of light, a place where messages like this continue to remind you who you are and what you carry. For those whose hearts are moved, consider donating not out of obligation, but as an act of royal generosity. Your gift becomes another jewel in the crown of impact, allowing this message of divine truth to reach others who are still waiting for their reminder that they too are chosen. Think of it like passing your torch forward, lighting the way for another traveler. Finally, comment below to share what this message stirred in your heart. Your words are not mere text, they're ripples in this ocean of light, reminding someone else that they are not alone in their transformation. The crown has descended. Chosen one, stand tall, lift your head, and wear it with grace. You are not who you were, you are who heaven always said you would become. Beloved chosen one, what God begins in one heart is never meant to end there. Every spark of obedience becomes a flame that lights another, until a wildfire of divine transformation spreads quietly through the world. The miracle that started within you was never only for you, it was heaven's way of planting a living seed in the soil of humanity. You are not a cul-de-sac of grace. You are its river. When heaven touches a single soul, it is the beginning of an echo. That echo moves through conversations, through acts of kindness, through lives that cross yours for only a moment yet are forever changed. The words you spoke in passing, the prayer you whispered for a stranger, the courage you showed when you thought no one was watching, all of it continues to move long after you've walked away. There is no small act when the Spirit breathes through it. A single kindness can outlive 1,000 sermons. The look of compassion you offered, the forgiveness you extended, the patience you practiced, all of these are ripples in the divine sea. They move beyond sight, beyond time, shaping destinies you will never witness, but heaven records with joy. Heaven speaks clearly through the writings in the book of Isaiah, chapter 55, Ambobon. Verse 11, "So shall my word be that goes forth out of my mouth, it shall not return unto me void, but it shall accomplish that which I please, and it shall prosper in the thing where I sent it." Every word of truth you've carried, every prayer released from your heart, follows this same law. It does not return empty. Once spoken, it travels, searches, and settles where it is needed most. You have become part of that sacred movement, Heaven's Word, embodied in human form, sent into the world to accomplish something eternal. Look back for a moment at the quiet miracles that once seemed ordinary. The advice you offered in a weary moment. The encouragement you gave while carrying your own pain, those were seeds. And seeds never stop growing once they are sown. Somewhere. Someone is standing today because you refuse to fall. Somewhere. Someone is still believing because your faith became their evidence that hope survives. You might not see the results now, and perhaps that is mercy. If you could glimpse the expanse of what your obedience has set in motion, your knees would tremble beneath the weight of glory. The unseen world is alive with the sound of your yes. Heaven moves in currents, and your life has become one of them. The ripple effect of grace is quiet but unstoppable. It travels through generations. What you heal today may free someone not yet born. The curse that once tried to bind your family line breaks because you stood firm in prayer. The blessings that follow you will overflow into your children, your community, and beyond. The kingdom of God expands not through noise, but through faithful hearts like yours. Understand this legacy is not measured in monuments, but in moments of mercy. The greatest impact rarely carries your name. It carries your nature. The world may forget who you are, but it will never forget what you released. Every act of integrity, every prayer of faith, every choice to love when hate was easier, these are the invisible fingerprints of the chosen, pressed into eternity. And so, as you continue walking, know that nothing you've done in obedience has been wasted. The words you thought vanished into silence have become songs in someone else's night. The tears you shed in secret are watering gardens you'll never visit. The sacrifices you made when no one clapped are building altars of hope in places your feet will never touch. Beloved, the story God writes through you is not a closed book. It's a living letter still being read by the world. Your breath carries purpose. Your steps release peace. The radiance you wear is testimony enough that heaven has moved through you. Keep walking as one who understands that eternity watches. The waves of your faith are still moving outward, guided by unseen hands. And when your earthly days are finished, the light you've carried will continue to travel shining across hearts, generations and nations, because nothing born of God ever stops moving. Beloved chosen one, everything has come full circle. The path that once felt uncertain now glows with clarity. What began as trembling faith in the shadows has become radiant confidence in the light. You have walked through valleys where you could not see your own footprints, and now you stand upon the heights, clothed in peace that does not waver. This is not the end of your story, it is the unveiling of your glory. Heaven has watched every step. The silence that once surrounded you was never abandonment. It was sacred observation. God was watching the seeds you planted in faith, the prayers that rose from your pain, the small choices that carried eternal weight. Now the harvest stands ready, golden and full. What once required faith to imagine now requires humility to receive. We are reminded through the ancient words written in the book of Romans, chapter 8, verse 30, "And those he predestined, he also called. Those he called, he also justified. Those he justified, he also glorified." This is your moment of glorification, not by pride, but by purpose. You have become what heaven dreamed when it whispered your name into existence. You have been refined by time, strengthened by trial, and shaped by grace into a vessel that reflects divine power without distortion. The weight was never wasted. Every unanswered prayer became a building block for wisdom. Every tear turned to oil for anointing. Every loss became the soil from which new life has now sprung. You are no longer reaching for the promise, you are standing in it. What once was prophecy is now presence. In the stillness of this moment, heaven's peace settles around you like a mantle. You can feel the quiet joy of completion, the sacred weight of fulfillment. Yet even now, this is not a finish. It is a transformation. You are returning to glory, not as the one who left, but as one reborn through the fire. The light you carry now is steady, unwavering. It no longer flickers with fear or fatigue. It burns with the calm certainty of one who knows the source of their flame. You have learned that true strength is not loud, it is consistent. It is the quiet courage to remain kind in a cruel world, the patient grace to keep loving when others stop. The return to glory is not about status, it is about substance. It means coming home to your truest self, the version of you that heaven recognized before the world ever wounded you. It is the soul finally remembering what it always knew: you were never ordinary. You were always divine design. Beloved, look back only to honor the journey. The storms that once terrified you are now the testimony of your endurance. The detours that confused you were divine choreography. The people who left were necessary for the space you now occupy. Everything that once broke you became a tool in the hand of your Creator. There is a holy stillness in restoration. It's not the silence of emptiness, but of completion, like the pause after the final note of a song that lingers in the air, beautiful and unhurried. You have become that song. Your life is the melody heaven hums when it wants to remind creation that love still wins. In this return to glory, you will notice that your desires shift. The things you once chased no longer hold weight. Recognition, applause, validation, they pale beside the peace of simply being aligned with God's heartbeat. You no longer strive to be seen. You rest in being known. From this place of fullness, you will walk differently. Your steps will be guided not by ambition, but by assignment. You will carry peace into unrest, light into confusion, and mercy into judgment. Where you go, heaven will echo, because you and heaven are now in rhythm. And though this may feel like an ending, it is really the eternal beginning of your calling. The crown you wear is not an ornament, it is a reminder that you are a reflection of the King. Your story will continue to ripple through lives and generations as living evidence that God's promises are true. So stand tall, beloved. Lift your gaze to the horizon where eternity meets now. The journey that began in surrender ends in splendor. You have not only found your miracle, you have become part of God's glory revealed to the world. Beloved chosen one, if these words have stirred something deep within your soul, pause and breathe them in one last time. This message was not crafted to impress you. It was written to remind you. You were never forgotten. You were never behind. Every moment of your journey was preparation for this awakening. And now you stand radiant, chosen and ready. If this story has spoken life into your heart, let it be more than a passing moment. Let it be a declaration. Like this message as your sign that you've heard heaven's whisper clearly. Share it so that someone else standing in the dark might find their dawn. And if you desire to walk deeper in this divine rhythm, subscribe and stay close to the flow of words that continually remind your spirit who you are and whose you are. Finally, comment below and let your heart speak. Your words might be the very echo someone else needs to keep believing. You are part of this divine circle now, a community of light, faith, and destiny. Carry this truth. Chosen one, your story is still unfolding. and heaven is not done writing through you.